Internet and information are free birds by origin. That's not the case in China. When thinking about China and the internet, the first thing that probably comes to one's mind is that the apps like Facebook, now Meta, and Google are banned there. And not only that, it's the Great Firewall of China that insulates the Chinese population from Western influence via Google, Facebook, or Wikipedia as well. So, such ongoing censorship will almost certainly backfire, because the restrictions not only disconnect the region from foreign web pages that may contain critical information, but this censorship negatively impacts the People's Republic of China on many different levels. And the greatest damage from the Great Firewall's prolonged use will undoubtedly be done to China's economy. Let's see how. But before we get into it, first let's talk about what is the Great Firewall of China. Chinese policymakers were aware of the social and political significance of the internet even in the 1900s. That's why the Golden Shield was introduced in 1996, a project of the Chinese Ministry of Public Security for the purpose of monitoring and controlling the internet. This project was later called as the Great Firewall of China, as when it comes to protecting China's borders, the Great Wall of China has shown to be quite effective. So, the Great Firewall of China is the modern equivalent. In fact, the phrase was first used in print in 1997. So, the Great Firewall Project is basically the combination of legislative actions and technologies enforced by the People's Republic of China to regulate the internet domestically. Its role in internet censorship in China is to restrict access to specific foreign websites and to slow down cross-border internet traffic by blocking foreign internet tools like Google Search, Facebook, Twitter, and some other mobile apps, as well as restricting access to foreign information sources. While certain foreign news sources such as the New York Times and Bloomberg are restricted, many others, such as The Guardian and BBC, are not. Some websites like Wikipedia are not entirely restricted, but some particular pages are not accessible. Now, for a deeper understanding, the Great Firewall of China's censorship does more than just block certain foreign websites and service providers. Among other clever technical tactics, it thoroughly scans URLs and web pages for blacklisted terms as well. The firewall also blocks thousands of websites that are thought to host adult content or violent content, as well as other unlawful content in addition to the well-known websites. Even the business network LinkedIn China has been taken off. And that's not it. Regional governments and organizations are now progressively preventing access to online information from abroad. Chinese ships no longer broadcast their locations. Google Maps no longer receives bus and train schedules from municipalities. So, the combined result makes it more difficult to go to, invest in, or network with Chinese experts. If we talk about the social impacts of the firewall, access restrictions can reduce the diversity of viewpoints and may breed more polarized nationalist ideas, which may be harmful to minorities and individuals whose viewpoints are not reflected in the filtered version of the internet. Additionally, creatives are likely to be greatly impacted by this kind of cultural isolation since they lack easy access to Western ideas. Slow VPNs also cause big headaches for writers, designers, and creatives. Today's inventors relied largely on the internet to gain expertise and information. And in a world where dissident concepts are banned, it makes sense that thinking outside the box will be discouraged, even if only on a subconscious level. In fact, the nation's economy will unquestionably suffer the most if entrepreneurs' efforts are severely restricted by a blocked internet, in which case their time and resources will have been wasted. According to an investigation, compared to inventions from nearby regions, the economic value of inventions from China fell by about 8% after Google's blockade, which means that the unanticipated shutdown of Google in China had an impact on the way Chinese inventors sought knowledge and the ideas they produced. Hence, the lack of simple access to Western ideas and technologies will probably have a significant negative impact on entrepreneurs and creatives in the long run. China has already tightened the restriction on companies that plan to launch on the foreign stock exchange since last year, as foreign companies listed on U.S. exchanges are mandated to disclose more information to meet the auditing requirements, which is against the Chinese policies. China's top car-hailing firm Didi left the New York Stock Exchange after being pressured by a state security investigation by Chinese authorities. Now, some of you must argue that the country's economy is still thriving and it isn't short on money. Yes, that's true, but the country lacks the output drivers that result from the knowledge and discipline provided by long-term private investments from top-tier enterprises, not money. There's no doubt that the economy of China is huge, and there's a large amount of buying power. However, there is still room for growth because just 58% of Chinese people use the internet. Moreover, China's internet censorship endangers the foundations for a fair international economic system. The internet and its censorship impose trade barriers for international companies that want to operate in China. The blocking of international internet traffic by China has put a heavy strain on Western suppliers. And it has been challenging for Western tech businesses to persuade the Chinese authorities to let them through the barrier. And whether you're a domestic company or an international business, failure to comply with China's strict internet regulations risks having your online presence curtailed or shut down completely. Foreign business advocacy groups have long argued that Chinese internet censorship goes beyond mere inconvenience to actually harming the business's competitiveness. In January 2017, Claude Barfield, a trade expert at the American Enterprise Institute, recommended that the United States government file a complaint with the World Trade Organization against the firewall, as it is a significant trade barrier. Therefore, China must encourage the use of the internet as a vital tool for information and idea exchange in order to draw and support top-tier commercial firms and advance economic development. Now, there is another side to it as well, which is that you can't deny that there are some beneficial outcomes of this censorship. For example, the government's tight control over internet access has allowed for local internet companies to become global giants. Yes, that's true. By blocking international internet companies, the mainland manages to protect domestic industries and companies that are, or may have been, too weak to compete against their entrenched US-based counterparts. And hence, the Chinese internet giants like Tencent, Baidu, Alibaba, Taobao, and Weibo were created. In fact, China has its own version of many foreign web properties. Moreover, from the government's perspective, the Great Firewall prevents protesters and therefore expensive and possibly dangerous riots by stifling public outcry and the public's exposure to other, possibly better methods of governing and living. So, if we consider it as a matter of cyber sovereignty, it is justifiable because the firewall protects both political cohesion and national security. And, despite the Great Firewall's stated goal of the contrary, the government continues its path to internet dominance as the rest of the world stares in confusion. With nearly 1/4 of the global internet population, 700 million users, the internet behind the Great Firewall can be regarded as a parallel universe. And it is flourishing. Today, the Great Firewall is more powerful than ever. Ironically, China's biggest export may be this Great Firewall of China, a system that oppresses and irritates the nation's creatives. Certain developing nations have been using China's internet policy to model their own cybersecurity policy. In fact, rumor has it that Russia, Egypt, or other totalitarian nations are considering purchasing the censorship equipment. Although the critics have argued that if other big countries begin following China's approach, the whole purpose of the creation of the internet could be put in jeopardy. The free flow of information around the world might stop if like-minded nations are successful in putting the same limitations on their citizens and globally active web businesses. But that's another story. So, what do you think about this censorship in China? We will be happy to hear your thoughts. And if you found this video informative and enjoyed the content, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the like button as well. Thank you for watching.